Welcome. Namaste.
નિશાબેન સાહેબ આવી ગયા.
Yeah.
વેલકમ સર. રૂપાલા સાહેબ.
રામ રામ.
નિશાબેન શરૂ કરો.
On behalf of NCCSD, we welcome you everyone in this interaction meet. In the India, we have a custom. We start each and every event and we start any occasions with the small prayer. So this is the prayer of Lord to join with me in the Ganesh Vanda. This prayer we call Ganesh Vanda. Vakratund Mahakaya Surya
निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव
opportunity, and it's excellent occasions because it's an international event, and we are very lucky because we have our honorable minister with us. So, sir, on behalf of all of the two joint hands, and today we are really feel very happy and lucky because today you are with us, and I share that today we have 7 countries participants, please mute your mic so we can able to hear each and every person. Thank you so much. Sir, I'm happy to share with you that today we have more than 7 countries, and I think I make a list out of the each and every speakers of the countries for our formal facilitations. But apart from these participants, we have a participation from the Global Climate Smart Agriculture Youth Alliance from the Zambia. We have all the vice chancellors of the state universities. We have Mukul Asher sir from the Singapore, Dr. Gopinath, Hyderabad, Dr. Pathak sir, former vice chancellor from Gujarat. We have Simon and Dado from the Gaksa, Rome. We have today MD Shah Kamal Khan from the Dhaka. He is an expert in the services. Dr. Gontia sir from the Vice Chancellor University Junagadh. Dr. Richard, yesterday he told he is not able to share their experience, but on behalf of him, he nominated one scientist also. So we have participations from Ghana. Today, Dr. Nandini Ben from the Atapi Seva Foundations based at the Jambu, sir. Today we have a Dr. Loisy. Loisy, she is a farmer, and today she is joining from the Ohio, USA. Today we have a Tobias Pharmacogency from UK, Professor Govind Hariharan from USA, and Director Manage are also with us, Elise Dika from the Zambia, and Mr. Divine. We have lots of participants. If I say each and every name, then I think it's required 9 minutes. But on behalf of NCCSD, we welcome to you all participants of the country, the outside country, not all participants, but the speakers and the students and the experts who are with us today. So on behalf of NCCSD, I welcome noon, but of course your country, it's late noon, late evening, early morning, and late night also. But you, your special time, you participate in this conference. We really happy to see our state and country. We really grateful to you. Introduction meet is. My voice is not clear because lots of people's mics are on. So request again all the participants, please. We have only few hours, and if we think about to meet this country people at the one place, it is not possible. Think if 7 country people come together at Delhi and we come sit together and we discuss these topics, it's require lots of time and energy. But the COVID teach us this whole technology. So now today we all are from all around the country. We come together, and hopefully we meet each and every people in the few hours, in the few minutes. So on behalf of NCCST, again, I welcome to you all the 3940 participants, experts, speakers, and the students who are with us. Today's subject is a very broad, and I already shared that this is not only experts and address of only the speakers, but we have a participants also. We have so all are able to share their experience, share their expertise in this interaction meet. Our this objective of this interaction meet is like NCCST's main objective is the capacity building and policy advocacy. Capacity building એટલે શક્તિ વિકાસ તાલીમ એમને તૈયાર કરવું and policy advocacy કેવા પ્રકારના બદલાવની જરૂર છે. Our whole આપણો મુખ્ય ઉદ્દેશ, our whole objective is how our farmer, આપણો ખેડૂત કેવી રીતે પોતે તાલીમ લઈને તૈયાર થાય, how our farmer become a climate smart farmer. So this is the whole interactions need to discuss the strategy to meet new challenges of the sustainable livelihood and changing the climate scenario, and what are the additional measures are needed so that the farmer continue have their sustainable livelihoods. Also in the November, we all know, because who are with us today all are participating in the COP27 meeting. So participants, we as an audience are the same in the COP also, in this interaction meet also. So how we synergize our expertise, our objectives, our mission, and we as a strength, as a country strength, as a country expertise, how we present our initiative with the UNFCCC. This is the main objective of this today interaction meet. Each and every country facing a different challenges, but the one country who are facing one challenges, maybe the other country have that expertise how to overcome it. So how as a country and country south-south partnerships we come together and we interact with each other, and how we can overcome. So this is the main objective of the today's interactions meet. I am not taking much time because our Honorable Minister, as I mentioned earlier, today we are very lucky. આપણે બહુ નસીબદાર છે કે આજે આપણી સાથે આ ઇન્ટરેક્શન મીટમાં રૂપાલા સાહેબ છે. એમની વ્યસ્તતાના સમયમાં પણ એમને આપણને જે સમય ફાળવી અને આપણે માર્ગદર્શન આપવા માટેનું જે સહમતિ આપી, જે આપણા માટે ખૂબ જ અમૂલ્ય અને અગત્યની વાત છે. So I request now our Honorable Minister, Shri Purushottam Rupala sir, for his address. So
नमस्ते.
नमस्ते सर.
नमस्ते.
ये जो आज के क्लाइमेट चेंज और ग्लोबल वार्मिंग जैसे गंभीर विषय को लेकर, और खास करके COP27 में जो होने वाला है समिट, उसी में उनको सजेशन देने हेतु एक इंटरिम बैठक आज NCCST की ओर से ऑर्गेनाइज की गई है. इसमें जुड़े हुए हमारे देश के और विदेश से टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से जुड़े सभी गणमान्य अतिथियों को मेरा नमस्कार, राम राम. मैं अपने किरीट भाई शैलत जी का तहे दिल से शुक्रगुजार हूं कि ऐसे महत्वपूर्ण आयोजन का मुझे भी साक्षी बनने का मौका दिया. हमारी बहन जो विगत बता रही कि क्लाइमेट चेंज की वजह से बारिश की अनियमितता हो रही है, ज्यादा हो रही है, कम हो रही है, कई गर्मी ठंडी सभी मौसम में अफरा तफरी का एक माहौल देखने को आता है और इनके कई आयाम हैं। मगर हम अभी अपने को कृषि के ऊपर केंद्रित करके हमारे किसानों के साथ और कृषि के साथ इस समस्या से जो बदलाव का भुक्तभोगी कृषि क्षेत्र हो रहा है उसी पर हमें कुछ सजेशन देने चाहिए और कुछ बातें सोचनी चाहिए। तो ये कार्बन क्रेडिट का मुझे तो याद नहीं, कोई पहली बैठक का शैलत साहब को याद होगा। एक पहली बैठक जब यहाँ दिल्ली में कहीं पे हुई थी, ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट के माननीय साहब की उपस्थिति में, उसी पहली मीटिंग में एक विषय निकला था कि एक प्रकार से जब कार्बन क्रेडिट की जो ग्रांट सो ये ग्रांट किसानों को मिलनी चाहिए।
अरे कोई आवाज करता हुआ बंद था साहब जो सांभળી
क्योंकि वो बिना कार्बन को प्रोड्यूस किए पॉल्यूशन बनाए पैदा करने के बजाय ग्रीनरी को ग्रोथ करके हमारे वायुमंडल को स्वच्छ करने का एक बहुत बड़ा अनायास प्रयास किसानों के द्वारा हो रहा, मगर इनको कोई कार्बन क्रेडिट का बेनिफिट नहीं मिल रहा। सो हमारा जो सजेशन की कोई किस जो सारी चीजें यहाँ आप लोग तय करेंगे, डेलिब्रेट करेंगे, ये सारे एक्सपर्ट्स अपने अपने ओपिनियन रखेंगे। इसमें एक मेरा भी ये छोटा सा सुझाव है कि इस पर डिस्कस हो और हो सके तो जो यूएन का यूएनएफसीसी का वहाँ मीटिंग जब COP27 में होगी तो उस समय वहाँ बताना चाहिए कि उन लोगों को, ये किसानों को अपने एग्रीकल्चर करने के लिए वो जो कर रहे हैं और उनसे जो ग्रीनरी हो रही है उसी पर उनको कार्बन क्रेडिट की सहायता मिलनी चाहिए। और ये इंडिविजुअल किसान नहीं कर सकते हैं तो पूरे देश की, पूरे राज्य की अब तो आकाशीय छवियां मिल सकती हैं और उसी के सैटेलाइट के माध्यम से सारा असेसमेंट हो सकता है। उसी को माप तोल करके राष्ट्रों को इनकी राशि भेजनी चाहिए और उससे फिर राष्ट्र पर ये लगाना चाहिए, उसको सूचना देनी चाहिए कि वो फिर वो किसानों तक पहुंचाने का प्लानिंग करे। वो एक प्रकार से अच्छा एक मुझे लग रहा है कि किसानों को मदद करने का बेनिफिट होगा। और जो पशुपालक लोग हैं उनके लिए भी जो टेक्नोलॉजी का आधार लेकर कार्बन के ओमिनेशन करने में क्या क्या हम इनको टेक्नोलॉजिकल सहायता दे सकते हैं, क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ दो प्रकार के पशुपालन है। एक तो डेयरी फार्मर्स हैं जो संगठित भी हैं, जो थोड़े बहुत शिक्षित भी हैं, थोड़े बहुत सुरक्षित भी हैं और उनको डेयरी की ओर से सहायता भी मिल रही है। सो एक दूसरे जो हमारे पशुपालक हैं वो घुमंतु पशुपालक हैं जो अपने पशुओं को लेकर वनों में, पहाड़ों में, चरागाहों में वो घूमते रहते हैं। ये दोनों को कैसे एड्रेस किया जाए उसके बारे में भी थोड़ा डेलिब्रेशन होने की आवश्यकता है, करने की भी आवश्यकता है। आजकल एक विषय को क्या हम छेड़ सकते हैं या नहीं उसी के बारे में भी सोचने की जरूरत है। ये पशुओं के गोबर से और यूरिन से ये जो अपना IPCC का जो रिपोर्ट है उन्होंने भी ये ही बताया है कि पशुधन क्षेत्र से उत्सर्जन की बड़ी मात्रा जीएचजी गैस की हो रही है। तो उन्हीं के बारे में विश्व के सारे पशुओं में एक गाय ऐसा है, हमारा इंडिजिनस काउस जो है गाय, उनका गोबर और उनका जो गोमूत्र है, जिनको हम परंपरा से पवित्र मानते हैं और अपने घर में पवित्रता के लिए इनका चौका लगाते हैं, और गोमूत्र का तो कई पुरानी हमारी प्रैक्टिसेस में, पंचगव्य में इनका स्थान है। सो एक अलग से उनके गोमूत्र और गोबर के बारे में भी साइंटिफिक हमें एस्टैब्लिश करना चाहिए कि इनको इनके साथ नहीं गिनना चाहिए, ऐसा मेरा मानना है। उस विषय को भी हमें ऐसे प्लेटफॉर्म में डिस्कशन में लाने का प्रयास करना चाहिए, क्योंकि कुछ है इसमें विशेषता जिसके जरिए इनके गोमूत्र को और गोबर को पवित्र माना जाता है। और आजकल कई ऐसे प्रयोग चल रहे हैं जिसके जरिए ये जमीन की फर्टिलिटी को फिर से पुनः स्थापित करने में ये गाय का गोबर अहम भूमिका प्रस्थापित कर रहा है। सो कई इस पर एक्सपेरिमेंट भी चल रहे हैं। उनके एक्सपर्टों से ऐसी राय लेकर इनको इन सारे में से अलग करके देखने का कोई प्रयास होना चाहिए, ऐसा मैं मानता हूं। क्योंकि ये गाय का जो गोबर और गोमूत्र है, वो मैं मानता हूं कि ये मेरी निजी मान्यता है कि ये वो गैस के उत्सर्जन से पर्यावरण को अपवित्र करने के बजाय पवित्र करने का काम अपने आप में होता होगा, ये मेरा मानना है। उसी का जिक्र भी हमारे इस प्रकार के डेलिब्रेशन में आए कहीं से, इसको हमारे उसमें लेने की मैं एक छोटी सी सिफारिश कर रहा हूं। सो इस प्रकार से किसानों को और पशुपालकों के इन विषयों को साथ में जोड़ते हुए आप सब जब इतने एक्सपर्ट लोग हमारे देश के भी मैंने नाम पढ़े हैं, हमारे फॉर्मर यूनिवर्सिटी के वाइस चांसलर लोग हैं, वर्तमान वाइस चांसलर लोग हैं, और इस क्षेत्र में काम करने वाले बहुत ही अच्छे एनजीओज के हेड्स इसमें के साथ जुड़े हैं, और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर से भी ख्यातनाम लोगों का आज के वेबिनार में उपस्थित होने से ये बहुत ही एक रिच डिस्कशन होने की संभावना है। तो इसके लिए बहन जो हमारी शुरुआत में वेलकम कर रही थी, उन्होंने जो बताया कि ये एक किसी समस्या से किसी राष्ट्र ने एक्सपर्टीज हासिल कर ली है, तो वो भी अपने आप में इंटरनल हम एक्सचेंज करके एक दूसरे को विश्व बंधुत्व की हमारी जो कल्पना है उसी में हम एक दूसरों को शेयर करके मदद करने का भी कुछ आयोजन हम कर सकते हैं। हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी, जिन्होंने पिछले अधिवेशन में बताया था कि हम 2070 तक नेट जीरो का लक्ष्य हासिल करने का कार्य करेंगे, उसी दिशा में हम अपने देश में कामकाज करेंगे। इसके चलते पूरी दुनिया में एक प्रकार से उम्मीद का माहौल बनाने में हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने लीड लिया है। और ऐसे संजोगों में ये आप आज का जो वर्तमान बैठक हो रहा है और ये डेलिब्रेशन हो रहा है, मैं मानता हूं कि बहुत ही फ्रूटफुल रहेगा। सो अंत में आई कांग्रेचुलेट NCCSD to set up this interaction meet. I am sure deliberation will come out with specific agenda and suggestions, action points for international organization like World Bank, UNDP, national government, civil society members, farmers organization, and industrial organization related agriculture. It can also highlight food, water and energy nexus and ways to strengthen that. So thank you all. और मैं इस बैठक को, इस अपनी मीट को बहुत ही सक्सेस की शुभकामनाएं देता हूं और सभी को मनोगत से, मनोभाव से इसमें जुड़ के अपना डेलिब्रेशन देने का आह्वान भी करता हूं। और शैलत साहब से मेरा नम्र अनुरोध रहेगा कि इनमें से जो भी डेलिब्रेशन हो उनसे मुझे अवगत कराने का आप कष्ट करेंगे तो मैं आपका आभारी रहूंगा। पुनश्च आप सभी को मेरा नमस्कार, राम राम और धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, sir, for excellent guidance. To your guide.
Coffee banana.
All the participants, experts, please. Mic. Deepak bhai, बताना mic mute कर देजो, please. Yes, today our honorable minister, sir, guide us very right directions. Actually, he shared 3-4 points is very much important points, and that's why I would like to share these points in front of he suggested, because we talk about the carbon market, but how the farmers they get the carbon credit. We have a facilities of the carbon credit for the industries, for the business house, but how our farmers and animal holders, how they get the carbon credit. And he pointed out very much important things. Nowadays, we have a GIS and remote sensing. We have a lots of applications. We have lots of technology. So we do not want to move to one farm to another farm, one field to another field to find out about this whole initiatives. We have a GIS and remote. So we capture the image. And based on that, our nations get certified that data. And of course, we get the carbon credit because as the NCCSD participated since last 10 years in the COP meeting, and our main trust is how to આપણે બેટરી સંચાલિત સૌર ઉર્જા, એનર્જી સેક્ટર્સ, વેસ્ટ મેનેજમેન્ટ, પણ જ્યાં આગળ આપણા 70% વસ્તી, 70% peoples are depend on the agriculture and they are growing in their field. So vegetations are there. So always Dr. Shalat sir has mentioned, our honorable ministers, how carbon absorbed by fruit, how carbon absorbed by leaves, how by stem. So we have to identify that, and for that, for the level and the national level, we have to think about it, how our farmers and animal holders get the carbon credit. The second most important point, and it's very important for all the world, because as our minister sir says, carbon emissions from the animal waste, from the cow dung. But he pointed out very important things. Cow dung is really polluted the environment? No. We as an Indian always use that cow dung in some auspicious and some religious activities. So as an Indian, we have a feeling like that, no, cow dung and cow urine is a very pure and very important for us because we are using it for the as our religious things. So our honorable minister says, let's think, of course, it's a global scenario and global discussions. We need to require to discuss it. But in the India, we have a two type of animal holders. The animal farmers who have a dairy farmers, and the one community are the shepherd community who move here and there around with their animals. So these two type of activities are going on in our country of India. But of course, we have that as a technically, as a technology, because we all are think about, and of course it's true also. From the cow dung, from the animal waste, we have a methane emissions. Let's think about that and let's discuss and then come out the concrete point that our honorable minister mentioned, and it is true. We have to do that. We have to discuss it at the one platform, and then we have to come with the concrete point. The third thing, our honorable minister mentioned that our Prime Minister of India, he took a leadership and he announced to net zero target achieved by 2070. And of course, we as an Indian, we always think about how the challenge we convert in the opportunities. And we have that strength. And of course, we can do that. So our Honorable Minister today, he gave us a very important guidance. And of course, the whatever he mentioned, it's a very fruitful. And of course, we have to think about that. And we, as a country and with your partnership, we have discussed this point in the COP meeting also. સાહેબ હું આપનો ખાસ આભાર માનું છું. આપે જે 3 કે 4 મુદ્દા જણાવ્યા એ 4 મુદ્દા ખરેખર બહુ ઉપયોગી છે અને અમે સારી રીતે એને ડોક્યુમેન્ટ કરી અને એને પણ કેવી રીતે ચર્ચામાં લાવીને એનું પણ આપણે बहुत किस तरीके से उसका भी हम एक सुझाव पे आ सके उसकी हम प्रयत्न करेंगे. So again, sir, on behalf of all the participants, experts, students, and all the dignitaries, and on behalf of NCCST, sir, we really thankful to you. Sir, we always get your support. हमें आपका सहकार मिला है जिसके हम आपके आभारी हैं. And we need your guidance in the future also in this sector, especially in animal husbandry, in fisheries, and in the agriculture, because you have a lots of expertise and experience, and based on that we can move ahead as an NCCSD organizations. So thank you so much, sir, on behalf of NCCSD for this inauguration address, and just guide us in the very right directions. Thank you
so much. Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste. So we move ahead in our interaction meet, and now I request our expert, our professor, Dr. Mukul Asher, for his address. Professor Mukul Asher, he is a former professor of the Singapore National University. Not only he is a professor, but he always guides us. Any guidance we from the Professor Mukul Asher, and he guides us in the right direction. Typically, we get lots of support from the Professor Mukul Asher. So now his address. So. I request Professor Mukul Asher, sir, for his address.
And the mic mute છે.
આપનું માઇક મ્યુટ છે.
હવે સંભળાય છે? I want to share the screen.
મુકુલભાઈ નમસ્તે. Yeah, can we share from our side, sir?
On my side, if you don't mind.
Oh, sure, sir. Yeah, no, please, sir. Yeah. Okay, yes, it's visible. Yeah,
okay.
It's visible, sir.
I very much appreciate NCCSD for this meeting. It's always a pleasure. I learn a lot. Today, my remarks are going to be on one small aspect, which is the aspect of carbon of food trade. In Asia. And may I make one comment on Minister Purushottambai Rupala's excellent address. He talked about carbon credit market. My suggestion is that while there are international carbon credit markets, is implementing its own carbon credit market. How to organize it, how to do it, this should be, in my view, one of the seminar topics of NCCSD, or a task force can be set up to try to see how we can use national carbon credit market to the fullest. Thank you. Let me start. Pranam, namaskar. Now, precautionary principle compels the world community to take meaningful measures to mitigate climate change. Findings of the 2021 climate report of the IPCC in the next slide are consistent with what External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has observed. Sustainable development requires a sustainable lifestyle. We see so-called activist environmentalists going to protest against something about environment in an SUV. Now, how consistent it is? How can you look yourself in the mirror? You are protesting against environment, going in SUV, going in car, which is a much more polluting instrument of transport. This involves all of us. It is small and done persistently that are more practical to impact environment. I will give one or two examples of that later. Now, in the environment field and in science in general, it is important that the science is used correctly. So we have a scientific method here where you test against it, find whether it is consistent, keep on doing it, if not, you change. Compared science worshippers method and ultimate concerns about climate change are getting eroded, but we should guard against it. The 5 big findings from the IPCC's 2021 climate report, they are saying we must redefine the way in which we use and produce energy, make and consume goods and services, and manage our land, limiting the dangerous effects of climate change required to reach net zero emissions and make major cuts. Carbon will help compensate for harder to abate notes that the climate system will not immediately respond to carbon removal. Some impacts, such as sea level rise, will not be reversible for at least several centuries, even after emissions fall. What are the avenues for transformative adaptation in agriculture, climate change? Relocation, fundamental shifts, new technology is what scientists are suggesting. To this, I would add consumption pattern and lifestyle changes. These are very, very critical that we realign our lifestyle and consumption pattern with our concern for the environment. This is the example from Rebecca Carter on what she says about the 3 areas of how to bring about transformative adaptation in world agriculture. Now I would like to spend few minutes I have on some observations on the net balance of food and fuel in selected Asian countries. One of the aspects concerning agriculture is net impact, not gross, net impact of food and fuel combined in international trade in selected Asian countries. So I'm not talking about the domestic side. It is also relevant, but only on the study by Trinomics. Trin is a Vietnamese economist, and she works for IPCC. She's based in Hong Kong. And they have done some research. So I'm simply reporting and making some of my observations, reproducing some of their observations. So here is what we find 2018 to 20, food net export as a share of GDP. And we have cereal, live animals, food oil, others, then all food, and then food plus fuel. Now notice what happens in Thailand, for example. We have very large surplus in terms of all food. Because Thailand is a major agriculture exporting country. But because Thailand agriculture is very fuel intensive, energy intensive, it has a negative net impact. And similarly, in the case of Vietnam, India as well, China, Indonesia has positive, but South Korea has huge, -6. And so does Malaysia. Malaysia is about neutral in spite of being a large palm oil exporter. And the Philippines is very large as well, 5% of GDP. South Korea, 6% of GDP. India's implication is that while we are a net exporter of food, we rank 9th, by the way, in 2021 in agricultural exports globally, and our ranking is set with a lot of very good measures. And because we are an energy-dependent country, we now need to pay attention to this to see how we can reduce it. That's the main implication of this particular graph. Indonesia and China are net fuel neutral, but we know Indonesia is a huge net exporter of vegetable oil. And I mentioned about agriculture being energy intensive, and this is where one of Prime Minister Modi's initiative comes in, but we need to be very careful about it, do it only in a moderate way. Okay. Now these are my observations. Earlier I was reproducing. South Korea has even larger food plus fuel deficit than the Philippines. India has roughly 2.5%. It should be by making agriculture less fuel intensive. Finally, 3 helpful but small steps that India is taking. First, I2U2 group, which is India, Israel, United States, and UAE. Now, this shows the changing geopolitical developments that we mindful as we look at the climate change. They held their first online summit meeting on July 14, 2022. And they want to advance a hybrid renewable energy project they are going to set up a hybrid renewable energy project in India's Gujarat state consisting of 300 megawatts wind and solar capacity complemented by a battery energy storage system. And notice the global part of Atmanirbhar has to rely on to partners in a very constructive and strategic way. So U.S. Trade Development Agency, they funded a feasibility study. Indian companies are keen to participate to achieve the goal, as was mentioned earlier, of 500 GW of non-fossil fuel capacity by 2030. As part of the summit decisions, UAE will fund $2 billion worth of agricultural parks project with India, with Israel to provide tech support and US private sector involved. So this park could be used, and the Minister Rupala's carbon credit idea to be implemented on a national level, the parks could be one part element of that national carbon credit project. That's first. And a lot of geopolitical changes that are happening. India is well placed through very strategic, almost visionary diplomacy to address the climate change as well. The second is natural farming practices that Prime Minister Modi has done. Now, this has to be approached moderately. It has to be very, very well planned. It cannot just happen. We are seeing next door a massive, massive disaster by Sri Lanka because they didn't plan natural farming properly. They went in a very, very hurried manner without any plans. We are not doing that, and we are going slowly, but that can help, and we should try to encourage it and also brand it, our products, in that way to get higher value per unit. Then there are other like micro irrigation, as I said, many small scale local context developments will make a difference over time. So this is the micro irrigation and how the 10 district of Karnataka, the earthworms population has increased and it has improved the soil. Okay. Now, let me make one final comment, if I may. I think the carbon credits and the gobar gas, Gaumutra, that the minister had mentioned, California has developed one of the largest gobar gas plants, and they are using Gaumutra also with a strategic manner. So one of the things, yes, is that in the I2U2 partnership, that India consider getting technology transfer, understanding, getting the expertise from California in what Minister has suggested. Thank you again for inviting me, and I appreciate it. Namaskar.
Mukul bhai, thank you so much for your excellence. We always from your presentation and at the international level also. So on behalf of NCCST, sir, we really thankful to you for your time, and you always support us. So thank you so much, Mukul bhai. Now I request Dr. K.A. Gopinath, Principal Scientist, Crida, Hyderabad, for his address. Dr. K.A. Gopinath.
Thank you, Madam Nishaji, and all the participants. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity to share some of our experiences. I am working at Central Research Institute for Dryland Agriculture. This is a national research institute under the Indian Council of Agricultural Research. And we are the lead institute and also the national nodal point for the flagship network project, as many of you are aware, National Innovations in Climate Resilient Agriculture, abbreviated as NICRA. And this project is being implemented at a large number of research institutes of ICR, state agricultural universities, and almost 151 Krishi Vigyana Kendras. So this is one unique project, which brings all sectors of agriculture, including crops, horticulture, livestock, fisheries, natural resource management, and also the extension scientists on one platform. And under this project, actually, we have three major components. One is, of course, strategic research through network as well as sponsored and competitive grant mode. The most important second component is the technology demonstration component, where we are developing the climate resilient villages in the country. And the third component is the capacity building of various stakeholders. And in the strategic research component, we are undertaking both short-term as well as long-term research programs with a national perspective, involving both adaptation as well as mitigation, covering crops, horticulture, livestock, and other allied sectors. And the main thrust areas in this research component is to be, first of all, we need to identify what are those most vulnerable districts of the regions in the country based on various parameters and other considerations, including the socioeconomic factors of the farming communities. So this is one exercise that we have already completed under this project. We have come out with this atlas on the most vulnerable districts in the country based on several parameters. And the second major thrust area is to develop crop varieties as well as matching management practices for adaptation as well as mitigation of climate change. And the third component under research is assess the climate change impacts on livestock, fisheries, and allied sectors in the coming years. Of course, I think the details of major research outputs may not be relevant here, but moving to the next important component, perhaps the relevant to this meet, is the technology demonstration that we are undertaking for development of climate resilient villages in the country. So under this component, what is being done is the location-specific technologies which are developed by the National Agricultural Research System, which can impart resilience against climate vulnerability. And these technologies are being demonstrated in 151 climatically vulnerable districts, vulnerable to either drought, the cyclones, the floods, heat stress, cold stress, and in one representative village in each of these districts across the country. And we are implementing these resilient technologies in about 450 villages across various districts and states. And the interventions mostly include natural resource management technologies, be it in situ moisture conservation, efficient harvesting of rainwater and efficient use, residue incorporation rather than burning of the crop residues, which are a major source of crop nutrients and also for improving the soil health. Artificial groundwater recharge we have demonstrated in various villages, and also the water-saving irrigation methods. And then demonstration of drought or temperature-tolerant varieties, in some cases flood-tolerant varieties, water-saving paddy cultivation methods, including direct cereal rice, system of rice intensification, use of community lands for fodder production during droughts or floods, and improved fodder or feed storage methods, which is again very important to meet the fodder demand, particularly during the off-season, and improve shelters for reducing heat stress in livestock management, and management of fish ponds or tanks during particularly the water scarcity are also being demonstrated. And another interesting aspect of this entire exercise is that we have tried to develop various institutional mechanisms, such as village-level climate risk management committees that have been established in these villages. The custom airing centers, again, they are created for managing infrastructure that is created in these villages, and to improve the timeliness of operations, particularly in rain-fed areas where the window of operations for various agricultural operations is very limited, and also to promote the small farm mechanization for adoption of climate resilient practices. These are some of the village-level institutional mechanisms that are actually helping us to develop these climate resilient villages. And the another important component is the capacity building of various stakeholders. And during the last 10 years, the large state has been doctoral and postgraduate who are involved in the climate change research. And now a few points to highlight the future efforts that should be focused on. There is need to develop the climate adaptation plans. For each of the vulnerable districts, there is a need to develop these adaptation plans. And also the risk assessment at district level, maybe at block level. This will enable us for prioritization of resilient practices in these vulnerable districts. This is very important exercise that is to be taken up. And a large germplasm has been collected over the years, screened, and also the genes identified in several crops for different climatic stresses. So these climate resilient varieties with the available research infrastructure, which is already available with us. And the third point is expansion of NICRA model in more risk-prone districts as per the revised risk and vulnerability assessment. The document again is available with us and also shared to various stakeholders. And upscaling of these resilient practices we also need to develop indigenous simulation models for studying climate change impact, particularly on aquaculture and horticultural crops. The exercise is yet to be completed. And there is also need to establish India Flux network with trained manpower, because this is very much essential to estimate the emissions at landscape level, particularly for major cropping systems. And of course, climate resilient livestock modules need to be developed using indigenous breeds, life cycle analysis for estimating the carbon footprints, as the earlier speaker was highlighting, and also development of digital tools particularly for pest forewarning models. And lastly, we also need to explore the possibility of collaboration on climate change research with other countries in the areas of mutual interest. These are, I think, some of the points that I wanted to highlight in this meet from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gopinath, and thank you so much for your presentation and detailed information and guidance about the Krida Nikra project. Sir, I would like to, I have one questions I asked later also, but the main, as ministers have also mentioned about the measurement of the carbon sequestration. So yes. I think Nikra Krida have some unique project about this carbon sequestration. Yes. So other can use that technology.
Carbon sequestration, actually, we have already estimated, particularly for the perennial tree component, like agroforestry systems. We have one of the research partners, the Central Agroforestry Research Institute, situated in Jhansi. So that was the institute. Actually, we had given this assignment, to come up with the extent of carbon sequestration by various agroforestry systems in the country. So that is already documented and also published by the institute. Not only for agroforestry systems, we have in fact also estimated the sequestration potential of various other cropping systems and also the horticulture component. For example, Indian Institute of Horticulture Research at Bangalore is another partner institute of NICRA. There, in fact, they have assessed the sequestration potential of the mango orchards for the entire country. That is another exercise that they have completed under this project.
Thank you so much, sir.
I just want to say one word to Dr. Gopinath.
Yes, sir.
What was suggested, and I think Krida would like to consider, is just as there is a formation for carbon credit for non-agriculture activities organization, can you prepare a format which we can submit to UNFCCC for agriculture activities by farmers?
Sure, sir.
Right, for obtaining carbon credit. Just keep this in mind, and later on we'll discuss.
Sure.
Please go ahead, Nisha.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gopinath, for your guidance. And by request to Simone Leiga from GACSA. Simone is the coordinator of the Global Alliance for Climate Smart Agriculture, and he as an assistant member of the GACSA. And today I'm happy to share with you all that today not only GACSA, but the Global Alliance for Climate and Dr. Ali from the Zambia. They both are with us today. So now I request Simone from GACSA for his address and guidance. Dr. Simone.
Thank you very much. Nisha, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah. Just want to say thank you once again for the invite, particularly in this period, like I don't know if you read the news, but in Europe it's coming a big heat wave, and it seems like this is the only time in which people realize how difficult is climate change and these extreme weather events, how it would become probably normal in the future. So I think I want to thank you so much for doing this and providing a platform for people to discuss these topics important. So thank you so much. So I prepare a small presentation for you to discuss. To introduce GACSA for those that they are not familiar with GACSA. GACSA is launched by the UN Secretary General in 2014. And the idea was to create a platform in which we could do what you guys are doing today, share knowledge and create actions to accelerate the scaling up of climate smart agriculture, particularly the three pillars of climate smart agriculture, which is the sustainable agriculture and income for farmers, and adaptation and mitigation. So how to build a bridge between the discussions that were already happening in the climate change arena and in the agriculture, how we could actually be working together through these two. And the most important part, it was to bring different actors, not only governments talking to governments or research organizations talking to research organizations. So bring all the lot together. And that's interesting because at the end of the day, you get different perspectives and new partnerships and actually you can help one to another. Sometimes even the regions are very, we could learn from other regions and instead of being working in silos. So in the last 8 years, we have done a lot of work, particularly with UNFCCC, the food system discussions and sharing knowledge, creating partnerships and therefore actions which are important. Last year, because of the Food System Summit with the GACSA members, we hosted and co-hosted more than 130 virtual events for the independent dialogues. As I spoke to, we have the regional alliances, which are very important for GACSA to make sure that the global discussions get to the region and from the region to the national level and back and forward. So what's happening at the national level to feed the region and therefore to the global level so it doesn't become a blah, blah platform, because sometimes that tends to happen with a top-down approach. Then we have 3 action groups in knowledge, investments, and policies, the enabling environments, which are essential and the working bees for GACSA. Then in the future, for GACSA, we in the last annual forum, we adopted the vision for GACSA for the next 10 years, which is to bring back the farmers-centric approach to ensure that we listen to to ensure that food systems and any transformation start with and by farmers. So I call to action to you if you think that your organization or you do aligns with these thematic areas, please get in touch and we can ensure that we can organize things together and you can join the action groups and join the platform. So the thematic areas are aligned, of course, with the 3 CSA pillars to have a sustainable agriculture, mitigation and adaptation. And most important, it's how we're bringing the voice of our members in the next semester. So we got the World Food Forum, an event that is going to be hosted by FAO, particularly focused on youth. Then the World Committee of Food Security, number 50, that is happening in October, which with GACSA members and member countries, we have prepared our good side events. I think we've got Ernie here from Solutions from the Land from the United States, that he is the organizer of this event, which is bringing that concept, bringing the farmers' voices, and instead of having other actors. So the event will have 5, if we get selected, 5 farmers talking about circular economy and how what the problems they are facing and how we can help each other. And then COP27 with different partners to see how we can actually get the voice there. And this is it's important that NCCSD, it's been with us from the beginning. So I want to thank you, Nisha and Dr. Shalat, for all the support in these years. And if you'd like to get to know more about GACSA, these are the social media links that we have, and in anything you need, you can get in touch with us. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Simon, for your excellent, very brief and very detailed information about GACSA and its action plan. So, of course, NCCSD is working with GACSA very closely, and we are very keen to work with GACSA and the youth network also of the GAXA. So when we received the mail from the Divine, Mr. Divine and Ali, we are very happy. And we said, yeah, we needed this because the youth, they are just not take a leadership in the agriculture. But all over the globe, if the youth, they took a leadership, then of course we achieve our goal. We are not thinking about the family farming, and we do not have a campaign of the farmer forum, something like that. If youth, they understand agriculture is a main occupation, of course we are educated, but how we can continue our main tradition activity also. So thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you so much. Namaste.
Yeah, namaste.